Deep in the night, child, a babe is born, sacred and holy, blameless and pure. Mary, sweet Mary, tonight your child is born. Mary, sweet Mary, so strong yet so frail, carried a baby sent to save the world. Wise men still seek him and find in him peace. Mary, sweet Mary, tonight your King is born. All of the angels danced as heaven sang. All of the earth stood so still and so peacefully. Mary, sweet Mary, God's precious child, blessed redemption is found in his eyes. All creatures great and small, he came for all. Mary, sweet Mary, tonight your Savior's born. Mary, sweet Mary, tonight our Savior is born.
Joy, something that I think all of us struggle with sometimes and can be a little elusive at times. I don't know about you guys, but this last Saturday, yesterday, we had a huge snowstorm. I'm not one of those people who are lovers of snow in winter, which I'm sure I have a few on my team, but it was beautiful. I mean, I feel like we have to say that. A lot of things happened, though, as a result. It was kind of a, no pun intended, snowball effect. I was supposed to go and had plans to go Christmas shopping with my mom, but the roads were too bad. And then I got some kind of stomach thing where my stomach was bad, and then it just kind of went on throughout the day, and then the electricity went out. And I know a lot of other people probably experienced that too, and I was traipsing through the snow and trying to get our generator going, and all of these things kept kind of spiraling, and I just was not the most joyful person. And so when I was looking at the devotional that I wanted to do for today, the Lord just kind of used that in my own life because of the circumstances that I was a part of. I looked at what joy means, especially in the Bible. It's the word chara, which means way more than just happiness or the enjoyment of a fun moment in life. The literal translation means living in the awareness of grace and favor. In other words, joy is a grace recognized and lived out. And that definition of itself was kind of a wake-up call with the day that yesterday was. So I'm going to read this devotional in light of kind of the experience that I went through, and also the experience that our culture is going through, our country, the world with this pandemic. I think it's a great reminder of where we find joy. Do you find it hard to choose joy each day? Sometimes we don't feel like choosing joy today because of our circumstances, but the Bible is full of people in dire circumstances that accepted them and chose to display the joy of the Lord anyways. Here are some examples and ways that you can purpose in your heart that you will choose joy no matter your current circumstances. As I hurried along a city street, the rain was falling heavily. Several people were out and about, but there was little interaction. Everyone was dashing from shop to shop, trying to do what they needed to do and get out of the rain. But then the music started. It was a brass band playing on the bandstand, and they were good. Gradually, people began to slow down and look up. Eventually, a group, myself included, decided to brave the rain and go and listen. As the band began to play Singin' in the Rain, everyone shared a smile. But as we listened, my attention was drawn to an elderly lady in the crowd. Her pink raincoat made her stand out in the gloomy grayness of the day. But what really caught my eye was her reaction to the music. It seemed impossible for her to stand still. She began tapping her foot, then she started swaying from side to side. Eventually, she gave in and stepping away from the group of people into a space, she began to dance. A couple nearby were holding a rainbow umbrella. It didn't seem that she knew them, but she went over and took the umbrella and then began dancing in front of the crowd, twirling the umbrella as she went. It was a beautiful moment. While her dancing was nothing spectacular, there was something wonderful about her freedom to express herself with total disregard for what others were thinking, and her joy was contagious. As I looked around, the rain continued as before, but now people were smiling and talking, and the whole atmosphere had changed. All because some musicians and a little old lady chose joy over gloom. Paul chooses joy as well. As I read Paul's letter to the Philippians, I see the same attitude of choosing joy. His situation is dire. He's locked in a prison for no crime other than preaching the gospel. And to make matters worse, his enemies are using his situation as an opportunity to get at him. If I imagine myself in Paul's situation, I expect that I would be downcast and complaining. Yet Paul's letter bubbles over with joy. It makes me wonder, what is his secret? How is he able to find joy even in such circumstances? As I read his letter, a few things stand out, all of them to do with where he is choosing to focus. Instead of focusing on himself and his own situation, Paul focuses on the gospel and on where God is at work. He rejoices in the opportunities he has to talk about his faith with the palace guards. He delights in the boldness with which other believers are speaking out. And as for those who are preaching with false motives, as long as they're telling people about Jesus, Paul chooses to find joy in that. He also chooses to focus on eternity. There are several reminders to the Philippians that are citizens of heaven. Although Paul's current situation is less than ideal, he chooses to look beyond it to see the bigger picture. God is ultimately in charge of his suffering, and it will not last forever. Surely this too is cause for joy. Third, instead of turning inwards, he chooses to focus on others. His words to the Philippians are full of encouragement, and he clearly prays for them often. He also writes warmly to others, such as Timothy, who are helping to spread the gospel, and he finds joy in these friendships. He urges the Philippians to join him in choosing joy by making the decision about where the focus and he shares advice he is clearly living out. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. Philippians 4:8. We may not be able to choose our circumstances, but we can choose our attitude and our focus. We can choose, like Paul, to rejoice in the Lord, not necessarily to be joyful about our circumstances, but to find joy in God, whatever our circumstances. And when we choose that attitude like Paul, and like the lady dancing in the rain, it can impact others and bring joy to them too. So these are questions that I wish I would have asked at the beginning of Saturday, but I think are good to reflect on, especially during this Christmas season, when things can steal our joy, even in the midst of a holiday and a time that is supposed to be joy-filled and focused on joy. Here's a few things just to focus on for the day. Where is your focus today? How can you choose to focus on what is excellent and worthy of praise? How can a focus on the gospel, on eternity, and on other people lead you to find and choose joy in God today? And then I just want to leave you with one word from the Lord. a verse that just kind of sums up what I was talking about today. It's from Philippians 4:4, and it says, "Always be full of joy in the Lord. I say it again, rejoice." And if we can all do that through this season, we'll be bringing that gospel message of joy to those around us. So have a great day and be filled with joy.